never made it off the whiteboard, so to speak. Been talking to clubs for the last few weeks. Definitely like more activity here the last couple days, but I mean, outside of the two deals that we made, not counting the trades for Jabot and Carl before that, outside of the two deals we made yesterday, or I guess we announced the White Sox deal today, but it just didn't get to that point. There were a couple things that got close later today that I thought might come to fruition, but ultimately it didn't line up on one side or the other.
So, with Minor, what was the biggest obstacle why he didn't get traded? Nobody just met what you were looking for, or how would you describe that?
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably the best way to put it. Try to be really transparent with Mike in particular, with his agent through the process that we were going to have those conversations, which is, it's awkward, right? Because Mike's out there competing, and we're in the middle of the season, and we've acknowledged that it's a possibility, but yet not something that we were going to force. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the American League. He's had a great 2 years, year and a half now for us. We value him at a really high level, and for what we perceived as below that value, we weren't going to do something. It just doesn't make sense for us. Whether however it plays out, we feel like there's still a lot of options there. Not the least of which Mike pitching for us. And whether that's beyond next year, or those things will play out. We'll make those calls as we go. But we just felt like for what the market was, at least at this time, in our opinion, it didn't line up and wasn't something we were interested in doing.
How much of a factor was Mike's no trade clause in any discussions?
Not that big of a factor. Just as far as we never brought anything to him. We had conversations and kind of had an idea of what might or might not work for him, but it really wasn't a big hurdle.
John, in some cases, and the feeling is that you need to bottom out to come back up again. That seems to be the trend in baseball, and has been for a number of years, because everybody looks back at the Astros, of course, and what they were able to do. And you didn't get what you wanted in a deal for Minor. At what point is it, in your mind, we still want to be competitive? We don't want to bottom out, we want to move forward and try to add to what we have and be as good as we can be? Or is it just simply a matter of, I'm not dealing with that?
I think it's both, Kevin. I'm trying to think the best way to. The trends in the market change year to year, right? And probably even more than that over a few year period. And in my opinion, the appetite of teams to part with prospects is at a relative low right now. And I'm not sure if that's because of the the value of the prospects, or because of the postseason setup, or because of any sort of kind of individual circumstances for teams or ownerships or executives or on down the line. Your theories about it are as good as mine on that, but I just didn't, the appetite for it wasn't there. And so we could have forced it and made a deal that that I would not have been proud to sit here and explain to our fans, or we could hold on to what we think is one of the better pitchers in the league and maintain the options that go with that, including him pitching out this contract for us, or exploring something down the line, or extending. So all of those were more attractive to us than what we deemed to be the market.
I want to piggyback a little bit off of Kevin's very nuanced question, but I think there's some players in your clubhouse that look at the deadline and see, okay, you didn't move any of these guys, right? You're not taking a step forward, backwards. You're not going back in the rebuild. Is there a mandate here to take a step forward this offseason towards continued immediate contention?
it's not a mandate so much as it's, you know, a desire on our part. And let me, like, we were very open-minded and remain open-minded going in as far as, you know, what adds value to both the organization, short and long term. Like, would we like to win next year? Absolutely. Are we doing that at all costs? No. We're going to be smart about it and discipline and continue to build. I think, you know, Kevin said something about, you know, the general, I forget how he worded it, but the thought is you have to bottom out. I think the flip side is the thought is that you know, stay out of the middle tier of free agency, and at the same time, like, some of our best players on the team have come through that. So I don't think you can ever kind of paint it with a real broad brush like that. I think it's all about the individual circumstances, individual players, individual decisions, and that's how we'll continue to look at it.
Right there.
Oh, thank you. A player like Hunter Pence, obviously very popular among the fans, a huge presence in the clubhouse, but being 36, coming up on free agency, could you talk us through the thought process of, like, did you guys have any offers come or interest in him and the thought process of keeping him?
Yeah, you know, I only say that I typically don't like to talk about specifics like this, but I for a few reasons, I think it's valuable here. So yeah, we did have interest in Hunter up until, you know, just a couple of minutes before the deadline. You know, we had talked. I didn't talk to Hunter myself. I talked through his agent a little bit. Just kind of, he doesn't have a no trade clause. He doesn't have, but I just felt it was the right thing to do. A player of his stature and experience, and so we kept him posted. And obviously he knows it's a business and was open to anything. But he also, you know, really enjoys it here, enjoys the club, and I think he's really important for what, you know, the Woody and the staff and the leadership on the team are trying to emphasize. And so we weighed that piece heavily. This was not a deal. And I told other clubs early on, hey, I get it. I know, you know, a quote unquote, you know, rental veteran player, you typically see them moved at the end. And I just told them, I said, hey, we have a, you know, a bar, not a crazy bar. We weren't asking for, you know, top prospects. We have a bar that we have to get across for us to consider that, and it's not just going to be best offer at the buzzer, you know, and that's how that's what we stuck to, because it just, I think, had again, you know, the environment that the deadline was against, where, you know, I don't think many top prospects were really moved, or really top young players. I think the general philosophy I felt was teams decided which players they were willing to move, and then would get the best players they could for that group. And so against that backdrop, you know, we didn't feel that we had, you know, needed to trade somebody just because we got a phone call.
How much do you feel like the Rangers this year, considering the draft and international, and have closed the gap on the Astros and A's, and then I guess to a degree the Angels, since their farm system's improved?
On the farm system side?
Just all around.
Yeah. I think from like a talent acquisition side, from, you know, from the Profar deal to acquiring extra draft picks to building our Latin American international signing budget, to, you know, how really happy with our draft. 30 teams are a month later, right? So, but, you know, happy with the process that went into it. You know, the one you know, clear negative on the year for us from a young player standpoint has been some of the arm injuries that we've had. You know, that's set a few guys back, but you know, the large majority of them will bounce back from it. But, you know, we feel like we made real progress in terms of like the overall quality and quantity of young talent in the organization.
What's your overall feeling about the state of the Rangers right now at this point, as far as where you are and where you're headed?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of this dovetail off that question from Jeff. I think the overall quality and quantity of young talent in the system is significantly improved. I'm absolutely thrilled with the staff up here and the culture that's been created. I give Woody and his group a ton of credit for that, and And I think you've seen, some of the steps forward from some of the young players. Joey, chief among them, obviously on the IL right now. But I feel like we made progress. It's not, it's easy to lose sight of where we were a year ago, and I think we made significant progress since that time. We have a lot more work to do. The Astros, among others, are very, very good, and we've got to continue to work to get where we want to go.
What else? So you see a couple of players mentioned that they feel the team is very close, and that a few of the right off-season signings would put you guys to a point where they feel like they would be legitimate contenders. But then you mentioned mid-tier free agency. So are you more likely to spend money on players in the organization like a Minor or a Gallo extending that way, or do you think that free agency will be more of a priority this offseason?
They're all on the table, all those options. And when I say mid-tier free agents, I was just making a point with kind of the Kevin's point of the I think the cliche, but the general way that people think about things, and that's kind of looked down upon. I think you can find talent, good players, good additions, winning players in a lot of different ways. So we'll definitely look at extending our own. I think we always do, and I think we'll have the ability to be a little more active in free agency than we have been.
JD, do you think they should move the trade deadline back some? Because there's so many teams like you that are still in it for the wild card, and they don't really know whether they're buyers or sellers, now that there's just one.
I've heard a couple of my counterparts talk about that. I personally don't think it would have much of an impact. I think it's more due to other factors touched on earlier. I don't think you'd see a whole lot more activity if it was the 15th. That's just me personally. I don't think 2 weeks going to do anything.
John, with the deadline pass, do you foresee any role changes or things like that for guys on this club for the remainder of the year, and things that you've still got to accomplish? I know you're still kind of on the fringes of that playoff race, but there's also the idea of you've got to have some answers about certain things too.
Yeah, I think both are valid, and I would add to that there are some players in the minor leagues that have played really well, and that not just that they deserve an opportunity, but that we think they might be able to help us, and not just get experience, but to help the club. So we talked about that here the last couple of weeks. We didn't set anything in motion just yet because we wanted to see what happened here today. And now that we know kind of where we stand, Woody and I were just chatting about it a little bit ago, and we'll sit down with his staff and my staff again. But yeah, I would expect that there will be some adjustments, but